Hey guys, this is Andrew. In this lesson, I wanted to talk to you about the strategy that you should be using on the math section of the SAT. And I wanted to start with this problem that I've got up here, which if you can't see it, it says if 3x minus 10 equals 2, what is the value of 2x plus 1? Now a lot of you, myself included, could just start solving this problem right away. And that's fine, but I wanted to use a problem that's fairly simple like this so that I could show you a couple of different strategies that you can use if you're having a little trouble, if you're getting stuck on certain questions. And even with simple problems that you know how to solve right away, I want you to be doing one thing before you start solving the problem. Once you've read the problem, I want you to look at the answers first. Before you start working anything out, I want you to look at the answer choices. Now, the reason I want you to do that is, for one thing, I want you to see what form, whether they're fractions or decimals, whether there's positives, negatives, whether you're looking for a single number or you're looking for, an expression, a formula that you need to be using. And so for this particular one, we look at the answer choices. A is 2, B is -7, C is -4, and D is 9. Now you see 2 of those are positive numbers, 2 of those are negative numbers. So basically all that tells you is that you need to be careful with your positives and your negatives when you're adding or subtracting on this one, because we've got a couple answer choices that are negative, a couple that are positive. If you make a mistake, you can probably get one of the answer choices that's up there that's not the correct answer choice. So I'm going to just go ahead and run through this one so I can show you how to solve it. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this first equation here. If 3x minus 10 equals 2, we need to solve that for x, and then we can put that x that we find in over here in this formula. So we'll add 10 to both sides here. This comes from algebra 1. You end up with 3x equals 12, and then we'll divide both sides of that equation by 3, which leaves us with x equals 4. So we can take that x equals 4, plug it into this equation over here. And now we've got 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 1 equals 9. So our answer is D. Now one of the other strategies that you can use if you're getting stuck is to take the answer choices and plug them in to the equations in the problem and sort of solve the problem backwards. Now if we were to take 9, we would plug that in here. So we would go 2x plus 1 equals 9. This right here, basically where this question mark is, that's where we'd plug each of these answer choices in. And if you're going to solve it that way, you've got to know where to put that answer choice. But if you back solve this, you'll get x equals 4 again, and then you plug it back in over here. And essentially with this one, you're just checking to make sure this one works. And I'll grab the first answer choice, A, which is 2, show you that if you use the incorrect answer that it won't work. So if we were to take 2x plus 1, plug in 2, we then solve this one for x. So we subtract 1 from both sides. We get 2x equals 1, and then divide by 2 on both sides. So we end up with x equals 1/2, which is fine. Fractions are okay. We can still work with fractions. We'd take that x equals 1/2 and plug it back into this equation to check and see if it works. So 3 times 1/2 is either 3/2 or 1 1/2, whichever you prefer. But 3/2 minus 10 equals 2, or 1 1/2 minus 10 equals 2. A lot of us can probably look at this and see that that's not going to work, because the only thing that you subtract 10 from to get 2 is 12. I mean, 1 1/2 minus 10 is negative 8 1/2, which is not equal to 2. So we know that that doesn't work, which means we know that A is not the answer. If you're solving it that way, you're going to have to go through each one of those and look for the correct answer. And whichever one of those answers gives you an equation here that makes sense, that works, it'll say like 9 equals 9 or something like that. Not necessarily those numbers, but something along those lines. Now, obviously that takes some time, and that's going to be a strategy that you're going to use to help yourself get unstuck. If you're stuck on a particular problem, that's generally where you're going to run out of time, is when you get stuck on a particular problem and you spend way too much time working on that particular problem. Now, the other thing as far as strategy goes for the math section, you need to know the formulas that they give you at the beginning. Now, this is a sheet that comes directly from, these are the formulas you're going to get. Now, I know it's kind of difficult to see that on there. I'll see if I can upload an image for you guys so you'll have a better idea of what that looks like. But also, that's available online, and probably thousands of places you can find that all over the place. And they give you those formulas at the beginning of every math section. So you want to know how to use them. You want to know how to calculate the area of a circle, the area of a rectangle, and various things like that, area of a triangle, and especially those special right triangles. That's one of the reasons I tell you to look at the answers first. If you see like a square root of 3 in one of your answers, that does not necessarily mean that that is the correct. Oops, I had a little video glitch where my camera cut off on me there. Sorry about that. As I was saying, if you see the square root of 3 in one of your answer choices, that does not necessarily mean that that is the correct answer, but it does mean that you're probably going to use that special right triangle, that 30, 60, 90 triangle, to solve that problem. Again, it doesn't mean that that's the correct answer. It just means that and it very well could be the correct answer, but you probably are going to use that special right triangle in solving that problem. And so that is why you want to know those formulas, know how to use them. You don't necessarily need to memorize them because they are given to you, but you need to know how to use them, and you need to know where to find them, again, at the beginning of every math section on the SAT.